very exciting. Initially, it was kind of like a challenging because they have like such an extensive experience, right? And when you are like new to the industry, you have to learn about the industry. Along with that, you have that courage and capability to stand in front of
The
them
person
and
asks,
then ask a actually relevant question.
Yeah.
You cannot sound like a fool, right? Be bold, be brave, be beautiful, and be you. Hello everyone, you are on Igniting Minds, The Power of Knowledge by Rupal Mishra, and I would like to wish you, to all women out there, a very happy International Women's Day. On this occasion, we have very special guest with us who will talk about her journey and how she made herself by her own. Maira Dana, an entrepreneur, a consultant, a leader, and also she's a student, business analytics student in University of New Haven. Myra is highly accomplished business expert who has demonstrated her leadership skill in executive role across several multinational companies. After a decade of experience in corporate world, she pursued her entrepreneurial dreams and established herself as a successful digital marketing consultant. Myra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, amazing. So finally we are getting into the conversation and I would like to ask, why bold entrepreneur? What inspired you from where you have started and where you are and what is your vision for this company?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me here. It's an honor to be speaking with you a little bit about my experience and everything I lived through.
Okay.
Bold Entrepreneurs is a project that I started about 2 years ago with my partner. I have a business partner, another woman, and we noticed that women needed more encouragement. They needed to go after the things they really wanted to do. And that's why we chose bold. You got to be bold in this world if you want to stand out. You got to be bold if you want to get things done. And you got to be bold if you're going to navigate an environment that is dominated by men and where they dictate the rules, right?
Totally.
So if I want to go into this environment and I'm not bold enough, I'm usually going to shy away.
Yeah.
That's usually what women do. Sometimes they get offered positions in leadership and they don't take it.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, I have 2 kids at home, or I have the situation. I'm not sure I can make it. I'm like, go for it. Take it. It's being given to you. It's being offered. You are a leader, but they'll usually take a step back. And what we wanted to point out is take a step forward, right? And when we started this, we saw many models in the market, many different businesses, but they were men talking to women, not women talking to women. There was never an opportunity for a woman to stand out, no matter if the business said it was for women. It's like you designing clothes for me, for my body, but you're not thinking what I like, what I really want as a woman, right? So a man dictates this.
Yeah.
I joke that some of the brands that we had in the 90s were all drawn by men, right? But it's you who are going to wear it.
Yeah.
So I noticed that the models we had were not what we wanted. We wanted a space in an environment where we felt safe, where we could discuss things, we could be honest about it, and that we could see it from our perspective.
Okay.
So when we created this project, we were 5 people wanting to discuss business, always coming earlier to meetings. And I said, hey, why not just come to my house? Let's have some coffee and let's have an opportunity to talk about business. And it started really small with 5 women and it grew and eventually didn't fit my house anymore. And then I started noticing that it was really something, right? It wasn't just an idea that I had or a feeling that I had. It was something that people believed could happen.
Okay. So second question, when you started dreaming about this business and when it became a reality, what it's getting and how it's getting the traction, how did you understand that particular is movement?
Yeah, I didn't notice the traction at first because I was distracted trying to make everything work, right? Putting all the pieces in the puzzle together and understanding how this could be an environment that all women could benefit from. So I noticed it started gaining traction because I started getting calls from the girls saying, hey, can I bring somebody? Can I bring a friend that's also an entrepreneur that, would benefit from our meeting? I was like, yeah. And then it didn't fit my house anymore. And I have a big garden. right? Eventually it became unsustainable. And I said, okay, it's nice for us to meet, but I don't have enough chairs. I don't have enough space.
So you have started everything like from your home, is it?
Yes, I started from my home.
That's so wonderful.
I said, yeah.
We need to actually keep this like, underline that you have started this from the ground, like from your home. So everything start within and with home itself.
I joked that it was coffee in the garden because that was the biggest space I had in my house at the time, the garden, so it will fit more people.
Okay.
So I said, let's have coffee in the garden. Let's pray it doesn't rain, because if it rains, everybody's underwater, right?
So what was the duration, like when you have started this idea, like having in your mind, and like it became like a reality? So what was the duration between?
I think it became a reality in the first year, but it started gaining traction in the second year. Traction is something that is not easy to accomplish because we can't kind of put it into words or explain it. It just seems to kind of move. It's like you're going to space in a rocket and somebody turned on the engine finally, right? So you're moving. So sometimes it seems like you're in the same place.
Yeah.
So what starts traction? As a marketing expert, I'd say people start traction, right? It's just like having a trend or finding that something is cool or different. People start it. So that's what happened in my business. They started inviting people. I never broadcasted it in any ways since it was a meeting in my house, right? It wasn't a public thing that I would say, hey, you on Instagram, come to my house. No, it was a private thing. So it wasn't broadcasted, but the own girls, the other entrepreneurs, they were like, can we bring somebody? But 5 become 10, 10 become 20, 20 become 30. Hey, we got traction because we're multiplying.
So it was like a mouth publicity, you can say, like people, they have done it.
Yeah, I like to say inbound marketing because it's the community inviting the community, right? In this case. So it's like you inviting a friend, but then if everybody invites a friend, we quickly grow. So I know the business is gaining traction on this point of view because we're doubling. Okay. So we're doubling at a high speed, right? So the turbines were turned on.
Another question, you have such an extensive experience working in multinational company, right? So what is the idea behind becoming student again? So you are a business analytics student in University of New Haven. So what is the idea behind it?
I believe we're all students forever and we're always learning. So there's nothing that I cannot add to my experience. And this was something that I wanted to add to it. I was always on the side of marketing, of the hunch, of the feeling. How do we do this? Let's try it out. Let's test. And then I said, hey, there's more to this. There's like a whole side of marketing that is related to analytics. So data becomes trends. Trends becomes vision. Vision becomes answers. So why am I not looking at this? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave what I have and I'm going to go study this. And then here is a place where analytics is developing very fast. And I wanted to be on the right place to learn these tools that I could bring to any business that I worked in. So analytics is a big part because I used to have a teacher, a very old teacher. I love her because I say she's like an encyclopedia. That's how old she is. And once I asked her, I said, how come a trend becomes so big that we lose control over it?
Okay.
Because that's what happens, right? It starts as something small and eventually you lose control. And she says, people are creating these energies and they're talking to each other. They're discussing it. And eventually the energy becomes so big, you don't control it anymore. It just goes. It goes where the trend is going. So there is a point where it becomes too big, right? And I was like, wait, maybe we can see that on a graph. Or maybe we can see it. So many people said I was crazy. Oh, you have a stable life. You have a beautiful house. You have a family. Why leave everything and go somewhere else?
And starting a fresh, new start, like new industry, new technicality.
New everything. And my answer is always, why not?
That's pushing you a bit harder. I mean, like, yeah.
Why not, right?
That's the
question is not why, right? The question is like, why not? Why are you not challenging what you learn now? What are you not bringing new things in? Why are you not learning more?
It seems like you take challenges quite seriously.
I like to say, in my country, we take the bull by the horn.
Good one. So, what was the most significant challenge you ever faced? And how did you overcome with that?
I think I overcame many challenges in life. I'm going to tell you quickly two. One of them at a very early age, you're looking at me talking to her right now, and hey, I didn't throw up the whole interview, right? I used to be chronic shy when I was a child, and I didn't speak. I whispered. I whispered. And so I was a child that the professor would call the mom and say, hey, there's something wrong with your daughter. Take her to some psychologist because we don't know. We can't make her talk, right? And since I didn't talk, when people asked me questions, they presumed I said yes, right?
Wow.
And one day I had gotten these new shoes from my mother. I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old. And the girl said, oh, beautiful shoes. Can I have them? And of course, I didn't say no because I didn't speak. So she took my shoes.
Okay.
And I walked home.
Uh-huh.
And the scalding hot summer, because that's how the asphalt was in my country, is very hot. And we used to walk home, and I had to walk home and burn my feet. And my mother was so upset because she was like, what do you mean you gave your shoes, right? But I was so chronic shy that, and people say, oh, this is something easy to overcome. It's not, because it has physical reactions. So you get burned up, you tremor, you want to throw up, immediately you want to just vomit. So it gets to a level that's very hard. So that was my first challenge in life. How do I go from a person who doesn't speak a word, like a girl who whispers, right, to a person that can talk in front of an audience? And that was a long process. It took me about 15 years to overcome.
Okay.
A lot of
what
training.
was your first step towards it? What your thought, like how you want to overcome it?
Acknowledging that at first I had a problem, that I wasn't like everybody else. I remember vividly my mom giving me a book. Since I was not an expressive child and I didn't interact so much, books were my thing, right? I would read books the whole time because then I could live in my own world, right? And she gave me this book, which was titled The Girl Who Didn't Say No, right?
Okay.
So this is the gift she gave me, this book. And I remember reading it and seeing that every time the girl didn't say something, that somebody would take it as a yes, she would get in a horrible situation. And that was my life in a certain way. Okay. And I said, okay, I need to change this somehow. Like, I'm not in the right place. This is not how things are supposed to be. So I acknowledged that at first I had a problem. And then I forced myself to be in situations where that was a problem, right? So I enrolled in singing, choir, practices that made me talk in front of people.
Okay.
And recently as a marketer, I was invited to do a presentation on storytelling. And at the time, it was a very huge convention, but I was not the main attraction. I was like a side attraction. So let's say that if the main attraction had 10,000 people, my room would have maybe 100, maybe 200. And I said, hey, I can do it for 100 people. It's in my limit, I can do that. And I remember vividly making this presentation, which was very personal because I told my story. My presentation was titled The Girl Who Whispered, which was me. Okay. So I told that story involving the storytelling and telling them the real life. And at the end, I told them it was me, right? So, but what happened was the main attraction didn't come. Okay. And they said, hey, can you do the presentation in this room? And I said, what? What do you mean? Do it in what room? No, the main one. It'll be great for you. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe I need to go to the bathroom right now. So nervous I was.
A little uncomfortable that moment?
I was very uncomfortable because I did expect to speak to 100 people, but I did not expect to speak to 10,000. That was way over my comfort zone.
And how was the presentation went?
I was trembling all over, I won't lie to you. I was like numb cold. I still am now, just to remember it. And I remember, okay, I have to use some kind of technique to keep me here, right? So I concentrated on trying to look at people, but the lights were so off. I couldn't see anybody's face in the front row.
And focus.
Focus on one. So I said, okay, I'm just going to focus on whatever I can see because that was it. And as I started to relax and really do the presentation, prepared for it. I was prepared for that, right? But they were not prepared for me because when I disclosed the end, that I was that girl who whispered, everybody just started crying. It was like,
oh my God. So it was a very story.
Yeah, it was like very emotional for everybody. But I expected 100 people. That's
so amazing. Yeah. Okay. So, who's your role model and what they have inspired you?
I have many role models, and they're not only people that are famous, right? Of course, I could say Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, right? But I find that women inspire me in every little things that they do. And I learn, every time I learn something from somebody, I kind of keep it, right? So yesterday we were in an event, and the most important thing that touched me when she was speaking was, about a new way of leadership, about being fluid, because that's something that I try to teach people. I try to tell them, and they have a hard concept understanding. So when she put that into words, I was like, okay, that's exactly it. She explained it in a way that makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
So immediately she became my role model. You were talking to me yesterday, so you became a role model too, because I see that you're a strong woman that are overcoming her own challenges, and you're not afraid to go out there. And I say, put your face to be slapped, because that's what happened when we're bold and when we go out to new environments. Hey, somebody's gonna smack us in the face.
Yeah.
And we still gotta raise our heads and keep going.
Perfect. Love your answer. Okay, so if you have given a power to change the one thing in the world, what it would be?
Oh.
Interesting one. No?
Men are not gonna like my answer, and I apologize in advance for not being a political person. But there is this movie where they switch roles, where one day the man wakes up and he becomes the woman in the position.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wish we could do, even if it was just for a day. If you could switch the roles so you can understand what the other person feels like, what she goes through when you take away her option or when you're not supporting her the way it is, I think that would be impressive, because you could actually be empathetic to the situation because you lived it. So there is this French movie where the whole movie starts again, but the man becomes the woman and the woman becomes the man. I say exactly that, because then you see the person in a new role.
The responsibility, you see, like, come up with a new responsibility which you have never imagined, never done before.
Exactly. It's hard to imagine if you didn't live it, right? Totally. So when people say, oh, hunger, what is hunger? Have you ever been hungry? Have you ever not eaten for a week? Because then maybe you can relate to that person. But if you have never lived the experience, it's hard to relate, right? So I think if we could have the power to switch roles, just like they do in the movies, so they switch it, even if it's only for a week or only for a certain period, I think we would become more empathetic people.
That's so nice. Like, okay. Every answer, I'm loving it. And it's quite engaging as well. Okay. So what lead you to build an all-women team? And what is the perspective on diversity?
I believe that when we segment it like I did, so all women's team, I don't have the diversity as I would like, but I have an environment where people can relate. So there are people from different backgrounds. They come from different economic situations. They come from different cultural situations, different races, and we try to keep it. There was a funny situation that I told you yesterday, I'm going to repeat it, where we had a man apply for it, right?
Yeah.
What happens is in our master classes, we allow people to invite other people to come in and watch, right? Their friends or people who they think they would like to talk about the theme. And one of the girls said, hey, can I bring someone? And I said, yes, of course. It's our policy to let them bring whoever they want. I didn't ask who, however. I wasn't careful enough to understand what she was proposing. And I remembered it was my masterclass at the time. It was on Zoom. And I remember him coming in, and I could see the reactions. The girls were like, oh my God, what's he doing? But it was funny because he didn't feel intimidated at all, because that's what I expected, when he came into the room. He put out his point of view. He related to many of the points we had. And then he said, I want to be part of this. Can I be part of this? And I remember thinking, I can't say no because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I told him, we are a women's group. So, lots of things are in a way feminine or maybe pink or, but if you relate to it, if you feel comfortable with it, I'm fine letting you in the group. But you have to feel, that you are comfortable, because I don't want you to come here and then not feel that you're part of it in some way. So it was really interesting.
Okay.
It was an interesting experience.
So you have 67 members, all women. How do you keep them motivated?
We discuss a lot of things. We have main events. There are the master classes. Sometimes we bring people from the market. Sometimes we talk about themes that they suggested. So they play a very important role in everything the community does. We have in-person meetings for smaller groups. So we kind of subdivide in smaller groups for in-person meeting. And we like to take care of each other. So we become partners in responsibility.
Okay.
So if you have a goal and you shared your goal with me or with whatever group is there at the time, we become your partners in responsibility. So what we do is we're checking in on you all the time. How are you doing? Did you achieve this? Do you need help? And I encourage women to really, embrace whoever comes in. So embrace her. It doesn't matter where she comes from, what she has, embrace her. And we like to say that there's a crying period. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Women get battered all over when they try to do things. They have people not acknowledge their capacities. They have people tell them they'll never make it. They'll have family members criticize their business who are not even entrepreneurs.
But you guys are supporting
Yeah.
each other.
So when they come in, we say, hey, you know what? If you need to cry, you got a shoulder here. Put it all out. So get it all out first. Say whatever you need to say. If you want to cry, we're good. Let's cry together. We're here for this. And then after she goes through this period where she, finally gets included in a certain way in the group and she's open to us and we receive her, then we're ready to start working on the business.
Would you like to share an incident like any of your employees? Happened?
Yeah, it happens a lot actually. We had one of the girls who had a business with the husband, right? And when she came in, he's not part of the group. But in master classes, I'm seeing that he's around because I can see the image.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's asking her questions. She's kind of putting it in. And one interesting thing she said was like, he never believed I could do my part in the business. He did sales, but she was the person who was administering the production. She had a small bakery, right? And when they were increasing sales, he was like, oh, how can I sell if you don't do your part, which is produce the product? And she's like, but I'm doing my part. So they have this, antagonism, this fight that they're going over. And when she came in and we showed her, hey, maybe you need this, maybe you need an investment, buy a bigger machine so you can produce more. And what we actually did was we made a project for her, we submitted, and we got the investment. We got the money, right? And that was not something he was expecting. And then he had to kind of bow down and say, hey, I didn't think, I thought you were, he said it straight to us one day. He said, I thought you were losing your time in this women's group, but I'm seeing the results and I have to, acknowledge that you're doing the work.
Wow, that's amazing.
It took a lot. It was like an 8-month journey for him to see her as an equal partner in the business.
So did he ask the question back, like how this energy, how this idea came up, how the person turned out like to be a different person, so bold and coming up with a lot of things?
He noticed that she was having access to new mindsets, to new people, to people who did things differently, and to people who weren't saying, oh no, you have a problem. We say, okay, let's find a solution. What's going on? How can we do this better? How can we do more of it? How can we, So instead of saying, hey, oh my God, what are you going to do now? We were saying, okay, let's see this through. Let's write it down. Okay, what do you do? Hey, do you know somebody I know somebody I know somebody that's financing projects. Do you want to submit yours? And she's like, but I don't have a project. Okay, so let's sit down and do it together, right? Let me help you out. But I don't know how to do the numbers. Okay, let's pull in the numbers. So everybody was kind of pulling in a part of the work to make her accomplish. And that gave her confidence. Because at the end, she was the one who had to present it.
Correct.
Right? We were there. I remember I was there. I was more nervous than she was, right? Being a shy person, I was just about myself. And she was there, and I was extremely nervous. So was everybody else. And she's talking about this project. Just made us so proud that she was there. Even if she didn't get the investment, we were fine. We were like, she did her job. But when she got it, it was just like overwhelmed for us. Yeah. Because that was what she needed, to buy the machines and to reorganize the production in a way that could meet sales.
And I believe like these small things play a major role to build your confidence in any person's life, right? So when you do these small stuff, makes you who are you. You can come up with like your own strength, own identity. So that's amazing.
Confidence is everything, but having somebody that dreams the things with you, that makes a lot of difference. So instead of saying you can make it, the person's saying, how can we do it? It brings you to another perspective. It's like somebody's buying your idea. Somebody's investing their time on you. So you start thinking, hey, if this person is giving me so much attention, maybe I am important after all, right? Maybe I do have something going on. So that's how you kind of build it in. But what if you had 67 women saying to you, hey, you can do it. Hey, how can we help you? Wouldn't that make a
It
difference?
gives you another strength and give you another power, extra power.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we have like Women's Day. Would you like to say or convey any message to the world?
Yeah, sure. Girls, you're stronger than you think. And if anybody says you can't do it, I want you to prove them wrong. You go ahead, you pull up your sleeves, you call your friends, and you get it done. Because community has a power. Women have a power. They're fluid. And just like a river, they can overcome anything. So always go for it. No matter how far it seems, I believe you can do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming. And let's get into the another round of the question, which is faster five. So here you have to answer one in one word.
Oh,
So whatever I'm asking, so you have to answer.
I
Okay.
love a challenge.
So
Let's go.
okay. What do you like the most in University of New Haven?
Community.
Okay. One thing which you would like to undo.
Undo. I think nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Everything is in the right place.
In university?
In university, I think women, well, it's a word, right?
Yeah.
Can I get two? Women in power?
Okay, okay. Which technology impress you the most?
I think the new AI technologies are pretty impressive. To think that somebody can build this and have something search so many different informations to give you the correct answer is amazing.
Okay. Which skill set you would like to build?
I would like to build. I think I would like to build design thinking, thinking in a different perspective, and increasing the possibilities of brainstorming.
Amazing. How do you define women empowerment?
Money.
Oh my god.
And let me explain this. I think money changes the power situation in any relationship.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So maybe if you are in a relationship that you're not happy with, you're not going to leave it because you have kids, you don't have money, right? If you are in a work environment situation where you're not happy, but you need money, you're going to subject yourself to that situation. So you're not going to say, hey, I don't want to do this or this is not right because you need your job. So lots of things in the world are about money. In relationships, in real life, lots of people define people by money. So I believe that if women were financially independent, we would see many great things in the world because they would have the possibility to create the reality that they would like. You know, what is your reality really like? What is your company really like? What business do you really want to do? So if you didn't need money, what would you do? Wouldn't that bring people to a new perspective? I say yes.
Wow. So, girls, hear her out and just follow your path and come up with bold decision, I would say. So, with this, I would say sayonara, tata, bye bye.